Okay, so welcome. Our last video for ecology, topic 8.7, is about disruptions to ecosystems. In other words, things that come in and change the nature of an ecosystem, maybe change the way species interact in that ecosystem. Some of the examples I have here, these pictures, if you'll notice, this is a picture of the Industrial Revolution. It's kind of when we started to put a lot of carbon into the atmosphere via burning of coal and other fossil fuels and things like that. So it's a major change to the ecosystem, destroyed a lot of ecosystems, and is currently, in its current phase, is destroying our planet, really. On the right here, we have I have a picture of some zebra mussels, which are an invasive species. If you look, this looks like sand here or something, but these are zebra mussels that have taken over. So they are what is termed invasive species. Also, if you look below, there's a kudzu. It's called kudzu vine. You'll notice it's taken over everything in this area. All of these used to be trees. They're now just covered with this invasive vine. It's kind of taken over in a lot of places in Georgia. Kind of in this, southern North America, you see a lot of this vine. It's imported from Asia, and it is kind of taking over these ecosystems and kind of ruining that diversity. These are examples of invasive species. Invasive species makes sense. Invading species. Okay. So, as we'll come to find out, when you have an area, and if you remember my last video, we talked about the Simpson's Diversity Index, which is an indication of how diverse an area is. Well, it turns out that higher diversity areas, diversity is high, means it's more difficult to disrupt. More difficult to disrupt. And we'll see some examples of that today. More difficult to disrupt these ecosystems. So, hopefully, we can keep up the diversity on Earth, because it's going to be a problem if we, as we're going to talk about, we are actually in an extinction event right now. And the more species go extinct, the less diversity we have, and the more easy it's going to be for us to get wiped out by some major event. So, we'll go ahead and erase this so I can continue. Okay. So, if you'll remember, this is a major disruption to the Earth, to the biosphere, really, the entire biosphere. This is what was formerly known as the KT boundary extinction event, now known as the KPG, the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction event. About 17% of all families of species, 15% of all genera or genuses of species, and 75% of all species on Earth became extinct due to this meteor impact in the Yucatan. Or at least that's what's theorized right now. Due to the air kind of filling up with toxic fumes, for one, and two, blocking out a lot of that light that's necessary for photosynthesis. If you remember our energy pyramid, there's no photosynthesis here at the bottom, then light energy cannot be transferred upward to the rest of the organisms. Okay, so other ways in which we can disrupt ecosystems, which you've probably heard about before when talking about the famous invader Christopher Columbus. This is another example here. If you look, this is an indigenous tribe in Brazil. Much like European settlers from brought to the Americas, disease. These Brazilians here are in such a situation. This is an uncontacted tribe. So if they were to make contact with us, it's likely that they might be wiped out by any of the many viruses that we carry. Now, we've built up an immunity because we're constantly in contact with many other people, because of our connectedness through international travel and things like that. These guys haven't seen any other humans in their entire life of this tribe, so they're very vulnerable to a lot of these things, which is why we can't make contact with them, because we would disrupt their entire order and probably kill their entire tribe pretty easily if we were to. So that's really it. There's not too much more to talk about when we talk about disruptions to ecosystems, except for, of course, our major disruption to ecosystems, which we're currently going through right now. We are currently going through what is considered our sixth extinction event, the Holocene extinction. we are losing species very, 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 very fast. Fast enough that scientists have declared that we are in an actual extinction event right now. Now, the reason for this extinction is, and I hate to say it, but humans. We are an invasive species in our own way. We belong to this world, but we tend not to coexist within it like many of these other species do. We tend to dominate our environment. And this has caused many more problems, right? We are releasing a lot of carbon into the air. This carbon is causing problems because it is blocking heat from being able to escape our atmosphere, which leads to, of course, the global climate crisis. I'm going to call it a climate crisis. Many news organizations are saying we need to start calling this a climate crisis because that correctly states the fact that this is a crisis and it's no longer giving use words like soft words like change or things like that, because this is a major problem, and it's really up to you guys to somehow get this back in check and return to normalcy. Because it's going to be more than a disruption to an ecosystem. It's going to disrupt the entire biosphere, right? Which is going to make it uninhabitable by humans. I'm sure there'll be some species that will survive and live on, and things will return to normalcy. But unfortunately, it'll be without us. So, it's up to you guys. Unfortunately, earlier generations created this mess, but it's up to you guys to clean it up. Really not too much to talk about here. Just keep that in mind, and I will talk to you when I begin our next topic, which is going to be evolution. Thank you for listening.